Hello and welcome back to the Welsh Premiership podcast and episode 32 today. And as you can see down there in the bottom corner, our guest today is Llanelli back rower Nathan Hart. Nathan, good to have you on. How are you doing?
Oh, good. Thank you. Thanks for having me on too.
So obviously looking at this season so far, results have been maybe a little bit disappointing, but are there any positives you've taken so far? And what are your thoughts on the campaign?
Yeah, as I say, at the moment it's not ideal. Obviously, we've lost 8 from 8, but no, there are some positive. No, there's a few youngsters that we've bled in from the academy and obviously picked up through other clubs. And yeah, as I say, it's a bit frustrating at the moment that we're only playing for 40 minutes instead of playing for 80, which in this league you can't afford to do. But yeah, the positives are we are playing well in patches. And yeah, we have got a couple of good youngsters coming through the ranks, which are going to be good the next year or two. So it is positive, but at the moment it's just not clicking. So
yeah, and you only got 2 games left in the cup now. I know Swansea this weekend coming and come on having the week after. So do you think you got a good chance in any of those games? And as well, what did the coaches say to you start the season? Were they concentrating on the cup or using the cup as a bit of a pre-season, maybe looking towards the league, which starts December time?
Yeah, regards to Swansea, Command and Quins, I think I don't feel like we're a million miles away. As I said, we put it in 40-minute performances, but I think if we can put 80 minutes together, I think we do trouble teams, and we're not a million miles away. Say at half time, I think every game we've been either up by 5 or down by 5. It's just, and like I said, in this league, you can't afford to not play for 80 minutes. And, but yeah, I think, we're positive behind the scene. We are working really hard in training, and of course the coaches are too. So, I think, as I said, we're not a million miles away. And I think it's going to, as soon as we can click, I think we can pick up a few wins. So, yeah, hopefully the next 2 games we can pick up, and I know if results go away then and we win, we can get off the bottom. So yeah.
Yeah, and Nathan, I just wanted to concentrate on yourself a little bit. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself, when you fell in love with rugby and sort of your journey to playing in the Premiership now with Llanelli?
Yeah, well, I played rugby since the age of 5. Obviously, going to my local club. My brother, my father played for Llanelli, and I used to run the kicking tee on. And ever since then, I just wanted to play. I've always had a rugby ball in my hand. So yeah, I played all through Llanelli juniors into youth. Played in districts, and then my first year out of seniors, I was voted captain for the first team of my local club, and then I got first of all got picked up by Swansea. I played a handful of games. It was against Llanelli. My first game was in the Premiership, and yeah, it was, as I say, from then I knew I wanted to play in the Prem, and how competitive it was, and some of the caliber of players I played against were just your likes of Liam Williams. You had Scott Williams, you had Aaron Shingler, Steve Shingler, big names now have gone on further, and I knew I wanted to play, and it didn't quite work out in Swansea. So I was lucky enough that I had a phone call off Llanelli, and then, yeah, I went down there and just worked hard ever since, and just loved my time down there. It's a great club full of history, and yeah, I've managed to play over 100 games for them, which is a massive honour for myself. And yeah, so like I say, I've always had a rugby ball in my hand, and I've enjoyed rugby, and I always will, and hopefully my son will be the same. So yeah.
Yeah, and you touched upon it there. You've played 118 games for Llanelli. How much does that mean to you? And what was it like running out for your 100th appearance?
Yeah, it means massive amount to me. Like, when I run out for my 100th game, for such a big club, for where any club in the Prem is huge, but to do it for Llanelli, such a well-known club around the world, was a massive honour for me. And at some points in my career, I didn't think I'd get there with 2 big injuries, but somehow, I've managed to make it, and I've enjoyed every single minute of it. So yeah, so it's a huge deal to me, and I do use it as motivation to want more. Aim is different, like 150, 200. Obviously, if I can get there as well, it'll be amazing. But if not, I'll be proud of where I get to anyway. So.
Do you ever think about, obviously you mentioned like you've always been like a rugby fan, growing up in like a rugby family, to have the to sort of be able to play for the likes of Swansea and Llanelli, 2 historic clubs. Do you think about sort of like those that went before you, like in the days before regional rugby, when they were like massive clubs? And who were your sort of inspirations, like rugby players growing up?
Yeah, in the team talks, I use that a lot, thinking back in the day when, as you said before, regional, the big derbies against Llanelli, Swansea, that I used to go and watch down in St Helens or in Stradey Park, they're massive. And now to be a part of that, I use that to say, people will always remember these games, and it's huge. And as I say, it is a massive honour for me to be involved in these kind of games. So yeah.
Yeah, I think your record is 33 tries for Llanelli. So that's some record for a forward. Do you have any maybe favourite ones that stand out for you?
I'm not quite sure. I think if you ask Johnny Liu, you'll see that they're all at the back of a driving line out. But no, my first one probably stands out. It was against Bridgend at home, and it was, I think we needed 2 scores. And obviously we got, it was 10 points, I think it was. So we kicked the penalty, and time was running out. And I was lucky enough, we made a break, and I managed to get on the end of it to win the game. So that one always sticks out. Obviously, first try for Llanelli RFC, and to win the game as well was it was massive. So that one's probably my my standout try. Yeah.
And do you have any particular like favorite like games, like other favorite memories from playing in the Premiership?
Favorite games. Sorry. Going to Pontypridd is always a memorable. Sorry. It's always a memorable occasion. Especially with the crowd. I don't think I've ever won up there, but the atmosphere. And I know the way they play, like it's always a battle. You know what's coming, and to play there is always a memorable game. Like it's really, that always sticks out. I know some people think, well, you don't look forward to that, but that's one that I always look for in the calendar when we go up there. So. And
who's the toughest player you've come up against in the Prem? Obviously, you've been in the Prem for a good few years now. I've played against some really good players.
Yeah. There's quite a few, played against, the likes of Nick Wrens, Tory Mayhill. But I think the main one that stands out, you can see he lifts the team is Morgan Allen. When you play against him, that, they could be back against the wall, and he's a kind of a player that, regional experience and everything, and he's been there, done it, he's a massive player for them, and he's always a tough character to play against.
Yeah, and you mentioned Ponty a couple of minutes ago. Do you have anywhere where you'd like to go, maybe the best atmosphere in the Prem, or your favourite historic ground to play at?
Yeah, again, I think, favourite ground, like, I love playing in Park of Scars because, it's probably one of the best, facilities in the Prem. But also, Pontypridd, the way is, as you say, like the fans, and you're in a battle when you go up there. The whole atmosphere, the whole day when you go up there is, you're in the trenches up there. Like, you've got to pull something out of the bag. So yeah, I'd say Pontypridd.
Do you have sort of like a favorite, like away like game as well for like getting on the beers, like maybe like RGC away? I'm guessing it's probably.
Yeah, I think that's a must in it. RGC is a hell of a trek, so I think that just that helps up with the journey. Away days, Swansea. I know it's not far, but we always have a social normally when we play Swansea away because obviously you've got the Swansea town there. So yeah, so I'd say Swansea probably. It's not too far, but we have a good stay away there in Winter Swansea. So yeah.
And then moving sort of back onto like rugby for a little bit. What obviously the normal Premiership season is going to be starting shortly with the Prem Cup coming to an end. Obviously, what have you learned from the Premiership Cup, and what will your expectations be going into the regular season now? Then,
as I say, I've learned that a lot of sides have recruited really well. It's not just they haven't just got a good 15; they've got a good squad. So there's no like, oh, there's a few players injured. Every side now has recruited really well, and it's a tough game whether they got players missing or not. They've just got just as good a player coming in. We've learned loads about ourselves with Llanelli. Yes, we are a young side, but we feel, like I said, we're not a million miles away. But I think we've got a good feeling, and we know it's going to get harder as everyone joins together. But we know we're quite capable of winning as well. So it's just, I think once we get a couple of wins under our belts, I think we'll start the ball rolling. I think we'll be better off then. So
yeah.
And obviously, during your time with Llanelli, you must have had some good Scarlet youngsters playing for the club. Are there any that really stand out? And how do you feel that playing in the Prem helps these youngsters to develop ready for regional rugby?
I think the Prem is a brilliant stepping stone for these youngsters, to earn their stripes. Like you go to like Ponty, Ebervale, you go to Carmarthen Quins, Llandovery, Aberafon, there's some big grounds there and good teams, and they learn a lot of older players as a youngster. You come in and these players are experienced, they know all the tricks, and they know how to win games and stuff, and I think you learn a massive amount in the Prem. I was lucky enough to play with the likes of Dan Tom, Owen Williams, Jordan Williams, Nick Cudd. You learn a massive amount from these guys. They're full-timers, but when they come in, they bring something, and they got high expectations, and you've got to meet them. And I think it is massive for the youngsters to learn this. It helps them a lot to go push further. So.
And you touched upon the academy players earlier. Have you got any with the club this season we should keep an eye out for?
Yeah, there's a couple of good ones. You got Rhys Thomas, the prop. He's pretty good. He was in the Wales 20s a while back. Archie, the scrum half. He's really sharp. Like he's a really good player. And then you've also got Ryan Thomas. He's a number 8 as well. He can play anywhere in the back row. He's going to be, I think, in the next 2 years, he's going to be a big noise, and he's going to be a really good player. So
yeah, I've been to watch Llanelli a few times this year. I know we've said, a lot of people say it's a very young squad there. Do you think you've got the right blend of maybe youth and experience in there?
Yeah, what we've tried to do is get a good core experienced boys with a mixture of good academy boys, and as like I keep saying, I don't think we're a million miles away. All right, sometimes win is a habit, so is losing, but I think if we, like I said, if we can get an 80-minute performance together, I think we will start winning games. And it is tough. The league is really tough, and that's the teams now are getting better and better. I don't think there's you can't say anymore. We target that game. There's 5 easy points there. I think that's a testament to the league and everything. So yeah, I think no, I think the league is really good standard, and it'll be a shame if anything ever happened to it. So
I just wanted to touch on as well, going back to, I know I'd said about like the Scarlet's youngsters dropping in. Do you look forward to as well when some of the first team players drop in as well? Like I know the other week you had in the midfield like Steph Hughes, Tyler Morgan, like players that quality coming in to such a young team. Obviously you've got some young backs, not Johnny obviously, but some of the others. Does like having them like come into the setup like help bring them on?
yeah, it does. As I say, they kind of bring their experience and having their presence around, the youngsters, they kind of look up to them, and they also, they feel, all right, okay, I know where I need to be. They're good generals around the field. So they, it makes, especially like myself, Johnny, and that, it makes our job a lot easier because we don't have to, tell people a lot more. We can rely on them. They know where to be, and it is a massive boost for us, and it's good for the boys coming down as well because, to get game time, that's the only way you're going to get better and get in form. In my eyes, you've got to play, and I think it does benefit both sides. Like, as I say, the youngsters for experience with these players, and for them to get the boys dropping down, getting game time too.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, and to finish then, we've got a teammates quiz for you, a bit of fun. So firstly, who's the worst dressed teammate you've played with?
Worst dressed teammate?
Worst dressed, yeah.
It's got to be Johnny Liu. 100% Johnny Liu. He still thinks a poppered shirt with a hood on it is in fashion. So I don't know what he looks at, like what he thinks when he looks in the mirror. But
he's not going to enjoy this one, is he?
No.
And who is the best drinker you've seen inside?
Best drinker. I'd probably go Ellis Hopkins. I think he can handle himself. He likes a swig. I think he normally last one standing on a team social. So.
And who's your favourite changing room DJ?
Favourite team. I gotta say, Tommy Rogers, when he's dropped down a couple of times, somehow he's wormed his way onto the DJ, and like he hasn't got too bad. I don't think he's not everyone's cup of tea, but I don't mind him. But Johnny's up there as well. To be fair, I think he normally hogs the DJ, and so Johnny or Tommy Rogers, I think.
Yeah, what type of music do you like listening to pre-game and stuff?
I don't really mind. It's a lot of probably about dance, maybe, like, a bit of a lot of noise, like, kind of thing. I'm one, I love all the buzz before the game. Like, I like everyone screaming and shouting. Some people don't like it. They like to be chilled and left alone, but I'm all for the loud music and everyone shouting, like, so.
And without revealing too much to us, who's the biggest liability you've seen on a night out?
Liability. Oh, well, he's not with us anymore. He's with Llanelli, but Lloyd Pike. Oh, he is hard work. Once he's had a few, he's 100 miles per hour. So I got to say Lloyd Pike.
And if you were stuck on a desert island, who's the one teammate you'd most like to be with and the one you'd least like to be with?
Most liked, I'd probably say Johan Hughes, because I've always seen him smiling. I've never seen him down or not. He's always got a smile on his face, so he's quite cheerful. He ain't got too bad a banter as well, so I'd say him. And the worst, who I wouldn't want to be is Ryan Thomas. Tom, he is the biggest sapper going, so I just couldn't deal with that. I wouldn't be able to listen to him all day sapping. It's bad enough on a Tuesday, Thursday, but never alone stuck on a desert island. So it's got to be him.
That's what Johnny said as well, I think.
Oh yeah.
Nearly word for word. All right, that's a wrap then. Thanks for joining us, Nathan.
No problem.
Thanks to those of you that are watching as well. We'll be back on Friday for another review preview show, and we'll be back in 2 weeks' time with another guest podcast. Thank you and goodbye.